bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the
Okay, I know that was super weird, but the last scene in this play, or I mean, the last scene in this act, always makes me think, or in Act Two, always makes me think of that song. So I wanted to go over Act One with you. So here's the review. Okay, hopefully you've already done the review um, in this Act Two slideshow. That is okay. Good. Okay, so you should have already completed this. If you haven't completed this and you're watching this, go back and complete Act One. Okay. So if you notice, our whole thing is analyzing sound techniques and metaphorical language. Okay. Vocabulary. Now, you should have, there it is. You should have answered this. Okay. Antagonize is E, to oppose or counteract. Bigot is G, a narrow-minded person with prejudice. Compassion is B, sorrow for the sufferings or troubles of others. Homicide is F, it's any killing of a human being. Opinionated is D, holding unreasonably or stubbornly to one's views. Reasonable doubt is A, any question that the accused may in fact have not committed the crime. It's a reasonable doubt. And unanimous is C, of one mind. Okay. So, what is leadership? Who makes a good leader? What are the qualities? You should have filled that out. This is the Prime Minister of New Zealand. I think her name is Jacinda. Okay, she's been in the news a lot. Okay. Oops. So you had the reading if you wanted to, or you just read it yourself. Okay. Premeditated, thought about ahead of time. Homicide is a killing. Reasonable doubt is a doubt that the accused did not do the killing. Verdict is the decision made by the jury. And deliberate is to think about and discuss. Okay. Right. So you watched the judge's scene. Okay. So here's my thing is in the book, it seems like the judge wants the jury to carefully consider this case. Don't go in and just say, yes, I think it's this. Really take the time to consider. In the film, I saw it as the judge was bored and he's tired and hot like everybody else. And it was like, just do your job. Okay. So that's kind of where I was thinking when it comes to that. Okay. Then we have pages 10 and 11, which is introducing. Okay. So based on the way the judge delivers the instructions, do you think that he is guilty or innocent? And how can you tell? That's up to you. How might the jurors have to talk in and the weather affect their conversation? Okay, we have to understand this. It is very important that you understand it is very hot in the room. So think about sitting in your classroom when there was no AC on and it was unbelievably hot. And I'm thinking of Mr. Mack and Miss Braz, yes, but definitely Mr. Mack because he did not have any windows. What was it like? Were you energetic and ready to go, or were you wilting and tired? Heat makes you tired, right? People talk about how if you are driving at night and you're feeling tired, first of all, you shouldn't be driving, pull over. But if necessary, like you got to do what you got to do, then like blast the AC, roll down the windows, make yourself cold, okay? Because if you make yourself warm and if it's wintertime or if it's summertime and you're like, oh, let me put the heat on, you're going to feel cozy and you're going to get drowsy and you're going to fall asleep. Okay. That's them. It's hot. Not only that, but if you notice, it's not a very big room. Jury rooms are not big. It's literally big enough for what? The table and chairs. Okay. So they all, and then, okay, then they're all sitting around the table. Again, think about it. You've got 30 people in a classroom. How did you guys feel? And you're just sitting there going, oh my gosh, I can feel your body heat. Okay. Especially if some people are hotter than others. Okay. They're going to be emitting all of that heat. Okay. So there is the water cooler in the room, but you got to get up and get the water. It's not like nowadays where, well, even now they don't have a water cooler. They just had jugs with water, glass pitchers or pitchers with water. It's not everybody has what's it called? Not everyone has a water bottle. So when I was in jury duty, though, we all brought our own water bottles and that was fine. Okay. All right. So they're hot and they're tired. And especially since they've been listening to the case for a few days. Okay. So then you got to watch them. And in the film, you can see how they're hot. They're taking off their jackets. They're mopping their heads. They're fanning themselves. The fan doesn't work. They've opened the windows. Okay. So there's your answer for that. Okay. So they've opened the windows. It's really hot in there. They've said that it's super hot. Okay. In the film, the juror 7's face illustrates how frustrated he is with the heat because he can't get the fan to work. Like I said, jurors they've taken off their coats, they're fanning themselves. You can see that it's a small room as well because they're bumping into each other. Okay. All right. So then we're reading 12 and 17, which is a lot of background of the actual case. Okay, so what do we know about the crime? Well, a 19-year-old young man, stabbed his father. That's what we know. After the first vote, 11 of them said that he was guilty. 1 said he's not guilty. Juror 8 is the only person to say not guilty. Right? Okay. You have to remember that says something about juror 8. He stood up to 11 of his peers to say that this kid is not guilty. Does he actually believe the kid is not guilty? He doesn't know. He just wants to talk about it because he doesn't feel comfortable going in there, voting guilty, boom, done, and then this kid goes to the electric chair, right? He says that he wants to talk about the case before they send a boy off to die, all right? How do the other jurors react? Juror 3, Juror 7, and Juror 10 are annoyed by his vote. 4 is in disbelief. He can't believe that anybody would sit there and say this. He's the one with the glasses. And then 9 is defensive of 8's decision. What does that tell you about 9? That 9 is he probably has some doubt, but he went along with it. If you also notice in the text, in the book itself, all right, that when they are raising their hands, and you'll see this in the film, okay? Okay, so in here, right, how do the other, okay, when they vote, jurors 3, 7, 10, and 12 put their hands up instantly. They have no doubt. The foreman, 2, 4, 5, and 6 follow a second later, right? And then 11 raises his hand a moment later. 9 puts, and a moment later, 9 puts his hand up. So 9 is the very last one. I would say that 9 is the one who has the most doubt, but he is not comfortable or confident enough to go against 11 people. Okay. The next quote. All right, hold on. Because I want you to see.
Just like listen, the old man is inside.
I just want you to watch the vote, right? And I just want you to see how fast some of them go up and how you can see in the film the hesitancy of some of the jurors.
Okay, gentlemen, I can have your attention. You fellas can, well, discuss it. And,
Yeah, let's go. Come on, maybe we can all get out of here. Huh?
Okay, then I think that let you know that we have a first-degree murder charge here, and if we vote the accused guilty, we've got to send him to the chair. That's mandatory.
I think we know that.
Yeah, let's see who's where. Okay, anyone doesn't want to vote?
Okay.
Okay, then just remember that this has to be 12-0 either way. That's the law. Okay, are we ready? All those voting guilty, please raise your hands.
Okay, look. 12, 10, 3. You see the hesitancy?
1, 2, 3,
And
4,
then,
5,
there you go.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Right? The hesitancy of 9, he wasn't even looking at 8. This is 9, the old man. Okay? All right. Then we're reading 18 through 21, where they're supposed to be giving points. Okay? So juror 7 says, look at the kid's record. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. I think they say he stabbed someone. He was picked up for knife fighting. He also made the comment with sarcasm of this is a very fine boy. Okay. Juror 3 tells us that the old man heard the kid say to his father, I'm going to kill you. Hold that for later. Okay. Juror 4, the boy's entire story is flimsy. He claimed he went to the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember the picture he saw. He also makes the comment that children who come out of the slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society. Now, Juror 5 kind of goes off on Juror 10. He gets very offended because, first of all, Juror 10 says you can't trust them or those people. When referring to people in the slums or born into the slums, he also agrees with Juror 4 when he says that they were a menace to society. He also states he doesn't want anything to do with them. We have to remember that Juror 5 was born in the slums. That's where he grew up, and he is quite offended by Juror 10's statement. Okay? All right. You also get a little background of Juror 3. Remember, Juror 3 had a son, and he has not spoken to him in over 2 years. Okay. Okay, we talk about that. And why is a switchblade so important? It's the murder weapon, right? However, okay, because people are like, oh, it's one of a kind. The shopkeeper saw the boy. I mean, he remembers selling the boy the switchblade. The boy says it fell through a hole in his pocket. He was going to give it to a friend as a present. However, this one of a kind switchblade, Juror 8 pulls out the exact same switchblade and says, I bought it around the corner from the boy's house. Okay, so that's that. Okay, what is the dramatic climax of Act 1? So at the very end of Act 1, Juror 8 says, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. If you all vote guilty this next vote, I will vote guilty, and then we can go. Okay? And then what happens at the end of Act 1? One juror voted not guilty. So one juror has now crossed the line and stands with Juror 8 to say not guilty. Okay? If you were one of the jurors, how would you have voted the second time? Okay? Why would you have voted this way? And which juror do you think changed his vote? You're going to find out at the very beginning of Act 2. Okay? Thanks, guys. Hope you're enjoying the play.